breastfeeding. So beautiful and magical. In the beginning, breastfeeding was really challenging.
Pieces of my skin and my nipple were coming off.
There was legitimately blood and sweat and tears. When you're there and your baby is not gaining weight, your milk supply is low, you're not able to give what a mother's supposed to give, right? It's devastating.
I can't even fathom doing this without a support group. Oh yeah, that's the good stuff.
Well, good morning, everybody. We have 2 expecting moms, so we're going to cheer them on, and we are going to give them all the encouragement that we can to get breastfeeding going. I'm Tamara Hawkins. I'm a family nurse practitioner and a lactation consultant. So to make sure your milk comes in, you need to be pumping or breastfeeding every 3 hours, even in the middle of the night. We spend a lot of time preparing for birth, thinking that birth is going to be the hardest part. And yes, giving birth is painful and it can be challenging, but no one prepares you on how challenging it is to take care of a brand new baby, and also what are the normal expectations of breastfeeding. That it is all the time, that you will doubt yourself.
I know, this is so hard. This is not easy. I just want you to eat a little bit.
My name is Sandra. My daughter is Charlotte, and she's 7 months old. Currently, I'm pumping breast milk for her, and she's also getting formula.
Honey, you haven't had a bottle in hours. Please?
When I was pregnant with Charlotte, I just envisioned breastfeeding as like the thing that happens. Like, it's just natural and you do it. And I was frustrated that it didn't just happen. When Charlotte was born, we discovered right away that she has a heart defect, which means she has a little hole in her heart. It's like she's running a marathon at all times. Her heart is just constantly pumping, and so she needs more calories, but she doesn't like to eat. She's tired and she falls asleep so easily that she would fall asleep while breastfeeding. She wasn't even getting the milk, which means that I wasn't getting the stimulation I needed to produce the milk. Breastfeeding was just not in the cards for us. Most of the time what I do is I let her fall basically asleep. It's the best way to get food in her. When I came home from the hospital, I was breastfeeding Charlotte. I thought breastfeeding was going well. One day, she was screaming from about 3 p.m. till probably 11 p.m. at night, inconsolably, like I've never heard her scream before. And it's not until retrospect that I realized she probably was like literally starving to death because I had only been breastfeeding her and she was only getting a few ounces all day long. I felt like such a failure when I realized that she's not gaining weight and not growing the way that she was supposed to, and that there could be long-term consequences to this, and I wasn't able to provide for her. It was really important for us to figure out how much is she eating, and so I needed to measure her food. And so the only way to measure her food is to pump. So I decided to pump. I pump about 7 times a day, I would say. That takes a lot of time to do, and I just want to make sure she gets some milk. A lot of people call what I'm doing supplementing, that I'm breastfeeding her through my pump milk and then I'm supplementing her with formula. And I really hate the word supplementing, like with all fiery passions of my being, I hate that word, because it means that I'm not enough. It means that what I'm doing for my daughter by pumping 7 times a day for 15 or 30 minutes at a pop is not enough. And I can't accept that. I don't accept that. I'm not gonna supplement what I'm doing. I'm just feeding my daughter. She's pretty much asleep right now. She's beyond drowsy, her eyes are closed. And, but she's not done with her bottle. And because she's not done with her bottle, it upsets me, but I always have to kind of like wake her up a little bit. She's like a rag doll, kind of just so that she'll take a little bit more. There we go. Because otherwise she stops halfway through the bottle. It's the only way to get her to eat. Come on. Okay. And then keep feeding her.
When breastfeeding doesn't go easy for the parent, it can be a lot of sadness, a lot of guilt from grieving from a loss of the experience, and anxiety about milk supply. Is my baby being fed? That is a common thread all the time. And it's important to understand that if a mother has to give the baby a formula, she's not less than. She's not doing something that's harming the baby. She is nurturing and still caring for her baby, just like a mom who is able to exclusively breastfeed.
You're 1 month away from being 1 year old. Are you still gonna want to breastfeed? Huh? I'm Elisa and my baby is Emmy and she's 11 months old. Come on, Mama. As far as I know, I was one of the first breastfeeding moms in my family. I don't recall my mom telling me anything about my grandmother being a breastfeeding mom, and I know that my mom was not a breastfeeding mom. We were all bottle fed. And then I did my own research and I found out all the pros that came along with breastfeeding your child, that I was like, I'm doing that. I'm all about it. I just love the idea of just having her close, hearing her breathing and just playing with her hair. I'm Dominican, and there's a superstition that the baby sucks out your beauty through the breast milk or through your breasts when you breastfeed. But I feel like a superwoman doing it. It's like my body is making food, nutrition for my baby. Like, that's supernatural to me. She's 11 months and she's still breastfeeding, and it seems like she's gonna continue doing it. She might be that 1 year old or 2 year old still breastfeeding, and as long as she's happy, then I'm happy with that. I know that for many years through history, women of color were wet nurses, where, you know, through slavery, their children were taken away from them and they were made to be wet nurses, where they were feeding the master's babies. And I think maybe because of that, we've lost a connection to breastfeeding our own children.
There are so many barriers for Black women breastfeeding because, for one, we're not getting the best health care, definitely not getting the best education or being encouraged by a lot of our elders to breastfeed. But also for women who have low income jobs where there is no postpartum stay. That baby comes out, you got 1 or 2 weeks and you have to go back to work, or you need to go back to school. And who can afford to spend all this cash money to get a lactation consultant to come to your house to just help you while you sit on your couch? Bring him up like that. Okay, yes. Yeah. Yes, like that. And so places like the Baby Cafe in East Harlem is very important because it brings faces that are familiar to them to say, hey, we're here. We have full 2 hours. Come in, we'll talk to you. Let me help you with breastfeeding. We need moms to get out and learn from other moms.
When we started out with Charlotte, she was just so lethargic and small and had lost so much weight that she spent so much of the day just sleeping. So to get to play on the floor with her is awesome. Oh, boom! I know developmentally she's fine. And however I fed her, however she got here, she's great, she's smart, she's energetic, and full of life and energy, right? Life and energy. So the number one thing that I would want anyone to take away from my journey and my experience is you need mom friends. It's like mission critical. Hearing one lady's version of her story, and she might be exclusively breastfeeding, and another woman who's totally formula feeding, and I'm somewhere in between. All of our journeys together help me feel sane, because otherwise you're so alone and isolated, and every decision feels like the worst and the wrong decision, when it's probably right and totally normal. I love you. Can I get a kiss? Mwah. Mwah.
Don't fall. My partner last night said, Emmy, I don't know, get as much milk as you want, because I don't know if mommy's gonna keep going after 1 year old. And I had a mini panic attack, no, I'm not ready. I know that sometimes I'm tired at night and she wants to nurse and I'm like, I'm done with this, but I'm really not. Emotionally, I'm not there yet. She's still my baby. I still want to have her close to me and nurse her for as long as I can. I know the love. For first generation breastfeeding moms, I would just tell them, if this is something that you want to do, just go for it. It is your right. Campeona del universo.